Hello and welcome to race 2 of GTTCC. So this is the reverse grid of the first race that you've already seen on the channel. So as I've won that race, I'm starting last with second place from that race just ahead of me. It looked like he was doing very similar times during qualifying, so it looks like he's going to be one of the main competitors here. So here's, first of all, you can see I get a better start, managed to put traction control on 1, although being four-wheel drive the car does still bog down, so what we'll do, wait for the lights going, you can see just doesn't quite launch, nowhere near as good as the cars ahead. Turn off the traction control and then we're going to go down into turn 1. Now with a reverse grid it's always entertaining because you've got the people that maybe aren't as fast at the front and they're going to try and hold up the people, but here we get squeezed into the first turn. You can see me and Steve both get reset to back before the first turn, so now we've got to make up some time. So that's a bit unlucky and it's actually dropped us about 7 seconds off the lead. But as I was saying before, being reverse grid, you've got some of the people maybe aren't as faster at the front and they're hopefully going to slow the rest of the cars up so we can catch up. Coming out of the complex, I had a quick look at Steve, but it wasn't quite on. He closed the door, and now we're going to go up into the first turn after the complex. I've decided to go for the outside, brake a little bit later, and there is plenty of grip around there. Plus, it gives you the inside for the next corner. So that's probably one of my favourite overtaking spots, and that's the first of quite a few at that spot there. So now, as we run down to the hairpin, just trying to keep a smooth line, we're going to fast forward it a little bit just so we can see a bit more of the action. Here we're coming up to the chicane on the first lap. You can see all kicking off ahead. Two green Megans. We know from the first race they're going to be very fast in a straight line, but they're basically creating a whole wall here going up into the final corner. So decided to try and concentrate on a decent exit, get on the power nice and early. But again, I know these Megans are going to have straight line speed, but I'm just hoping I can get the slipstream of just one of them. And it looks like we're starting to get sucked along, and APA's trying to push us to the outside, so try and go around the outside, but his teammate also goes in too deep, bounce off that one, and managed to go between the two green Megans. And now we're already up to, 7th position, so I managed to dispatch 3 of the cars already. Looking at the Irishman just ahead in the bright orange Tango almost TT. Again, we know that he's got the same car as us, and we're coming up to the corner that I tend to really enjoy, if anything. So I go on the grass a little bit, and the Sparco seems to make a mistake. And again, that's I think number 2 overtake at that corner there in 2 laps. The Irishman in the orange TT manages to get past as well. So now we chase down into the hairpin. What we're doing, looking at the opposition, it looks like it's all kicking off ahead and they're getting a bit argy-bargy, and what we want to try and do is take advantage of that but not get caught up in any of that. So I managed getting alongside the Mustang, but going up to the Fast S, decided to back out of it. It's probably better to not try and go too wide through there, but we do manage to get a slightly better exit than the Mustang. And then looks like we're alongside on the upcoming left-hander. He brakes a lot earlier and we managed to complete the pass. So now we can see the first place is already starting to get away, so that's a bit of a concern. BMW nudges the Peugeot there. It's an interesting pink, I'd say, maybe salmon. It might be a salmon, like a salmon shirt. But anyways, looking at the RCZ, but it looks like it's got good straight line speed. There's a BMW, which was one of the other choices of cars that I was considering taking, but before I took the TT, and they seem to get together. The RCZ comes out of Ghost just as I'm trying to go through, and we'll give another little nudge to it, looking up the inside. But then we decided, you know what, it's best to get a better exit. We know the RCZ is going to be fast down a straight line, but we know we're going to have a 4-wheel traction off the start of the last corner, and that's what we do to get past that salmon pink Peugeot. So that's us up into 4th. Now got the BMW up ahead, blue BMW breaking into the first corner, looking at it, but the BMW does go quite a bit deeper than what we do. We managed to get up alongside, but now we're on the outside. I want to get to the inside ideally, but it looks like that BMW is going to cover it off. So now we're looking around the outside here, and then we think no, best to slot in behind and try and focus on a good exit. So I come back across and try and get on the power as quick as possible. And we're going to slide into the slipstream, but now we're coming up to, you guess it, my favourite corner again. So we're going to go to the outside, brake a little touch later, but managed to hold it out around the outside, and then of course we're on the inside for the next turn. So managed to give him enough room that if he wants to stick his guy, he can stick it there, but he doesn't quite have the grip to go around the outside there. Going down to the hairpin, we're now up to third, and I can see first and second, so it looks like we just need to catch up to second and not let first get away, and we could be on for a good result here. As you can see, we fast forwarded a few laps, and that was just about concentrating, trying to get the lap times down. As you can see, the Irishman in the Tango TT, I believe it's actually a Rockstar, is caught up to the first place. I believe it's in the Mazda, and we're both really starting to hound him. Now what I'm trying to do here is not try and put too much pressure on the Irishman, because I want him to attack the Mazda ahead. I don't really want him to think about me. I want him to attack the blue Mazda, and then I can pick off one by one. So as you can see, going up into the chicane, he's got a good toe, he's looking down the inside, and he is going for the attack. I think, right, okay, so this is my chance now to pick off the blue Mazda, but he gets a horrifically great pull off that chicane, whereas I managed to cut the chicane and end up with a small penalty. But he gets good traction out of that chicane, a lot better than I was expecting, and then goes back up and starts challenging the orange TT. So now, I've not driven against this guy before in this car. I don't know how it's doing for straight line speed. It seems to be pretty decent, and when looking at the slipstream, they're both attacking each other. We try and get rid of a little bit of penalty while we try and suss what's happening, as the blue Mazda goes back past the TT, and now this is thoroughly on. It's a three-way battle with I've got a guy coming just up behind me. We look down the inside the Irishman, we managed to get our nose in, wants to push us wide, but we get just down to the apex. It doesn't look like he wanted to concede that corner and gave it as good as he could, but luckily we managed to keep a little bit of nose alongside as best as possible. Coming up on the Mazda, you know what corner this is. This is my favourite corner on the track, and again we'll go around the outside, braking later and just holding it around that later line. And now we're up to first. So we started 10th and we're now first by lap 5. Now what's going through my mind is we've got Steve, he's down in 5th. I know he pushed well in qualifying in the last race there, so he's probably my closest competitor right now, and I've got a nice bunch of cars and a nice time gap between me and him. So I'm thinking I need to get rid of this penalty ideally, but I need to start trying to pull a bit of a gap. So we need to be fast but efficient with the time. So we're going to try and start getting our head down, thinking about personal best times, hitting apex is where we need to, and if possible on the end of the long straights just lift off a little bit earlier, just to try and get rid of a little bit of the penalty. So coming down into the chicane near the end of the lap, this is a good place to get rid of the penalty. So what I'm going to do is, coming up here, I'm just going to back off the throttle, ghost mode, and then as I come back onto the brakes, unfortunately I completely misjudged it. Came out of ghost just as the Mazda came up on me. He rear-ended me, completely my fault. I'm off the track and all the way back down to 6th. So we're going to have to do some more hard work again. So coming out the last corner, it's back to fastest laps. We've got to catch up the guys ahead. So I'm just going to fast forward it a little bit more until we can catch up the guys. Rejoin the action just here, and I've managed to catch up to the end of the train, and now we're on the back of the blue BMW again. Go down to the first corner, brake nice and late, and get down the inside, managed to hold him off, but look at that, he's determined to keep there, so he stays there, and now he's got the inside for the next corner. I'll try and stay around the outside, but there just really isn't the room for that kind of corner. It's got a negative camber, so when you're on the outside it is a lot tougher. So what I decided is this is all going to start kicking off. I need to start getting past, but if you can see right up ahead, the furthest green Megane is now starting to get away, so we really need to start motoring. Up to my favourite corner again. This time we're on the inside of the BMW, so that does make it a lot easier, but more conventional pass. And now we're back up to 5th. So up ahead we've got the blue Mazda, the orange TT and the green Megane. So we know the Megane's going to be fast, and we know we've managed to pass the blue Mazda again. Unfortunately I go into the back of him, so I back off to give him time to collect himself together. Unfortunately, BMW gets back past me here, so I'm trying to look up the inside, but again I know he's going to chop across my nose, so I decide to back out, back down to 6th. And you know what, Kev at the front, he's getting away. All this time I want to get past these guys, I want to start chasing down Kev, but I just know I can't. I just need to be that little bit more close. And as the BMW goes off the track, gets caught on the gravel, managed to get back past the BMW, so that's one less car. But as you can see now, Kev is starting to produce a lead that's nearly over 4 seconds, so we need to start passing some of these cars up ahead as quick as possible. Following the Mazda through the tight chicane there, looking to see where is this Mazda quick, making a couple of small mistakes. I think at this point I've gone into the realms of I'm just trying too hard and making more mistakes than it's worth. Going down the main straight, we can see we're gaining a little bit on the Mazda. The Mazda goes defensive, so we go take the racing line very deep, almost into the back of the Megane, but we do make the apex and manage to pass the Mazda. So he put up a good fight, did everything he could, but we just went around the outside in the end. So now we're back onto the Megane. Again, we know this Megane's got great top speed. A little bit slower than I was expecting there. I gave him a little bit of a nudge, and I'm sorry about that. But I totally didn't mean it. I was just basically trying to have a look and didn't expect it to be so slow on the apex. Again, coming up to my favourite corner, wanted to go to the outside, but he kind of covered that off. Looked to the inside, I got my nose in, tried to cut me off, but I managed to keep my nose in there. Again, he comes back around the outside. No room on the outside of the corner there, so I've had to concede back and fall into line. Now all this time we're just watching Kev ahead pull away, but what I did notice just then was that he does have a small time penalty, so I know if I can catch him up I can put him under pressure, knowing he has to serve that penalty at some point in this race. We're going up to the faster S's at the top of the hill, and the Megane makes a slight mistake, kicks up a bit of dust, and that's maybe the Megane trying a bit too hard. So coming up into this left-hander, I'm trying to extend the corner as much as possible. He didn't quite get down to the apex, and he was a bit wide into that corner there, so I'm definitely putting him under pressure. Again, very wide in there, and I managed to sneak up the inside. Now it's a drag race down to the chicane. You can see he gets a penalty for that slightly wide exit on the previous turn. Going up to the chicane now, what I'm doing here is I'm going to put my car in the middle, because I don't want to be on the racing line. I want him to have the tighter line. He managed to hold it down the inside. We both brake as deep as we can. We both made the chicane, and I don't manage to pull off the pass. So we have to fall back into line and see if we can recollect our thoughts and go again. Coming up to the final corner, again he's running a little bit wide there, didn't get quite down to the apex, and we're now in his slipstream. We know that Megane's going to be fast, so even if I do have a slipstream, you can see it just starting to pull away up until the very end. Can we look into the first hairpin? Down hard onto the brakes, down through the gears. A little bit deeper than I would have liked to go, and I do run wide. And guess what? That Megane comes back past me again. Coming up to turn 2, he manages to get back across me, and the move has failed. And then we look at Kevin, and he's now, what's that, 5.6 seconds ahead. He's just pulling out a gap while we're just fighting back here with this Megane. So what we need to do is again come together, catch back up, and try and effect a move. Does get a penalty there for running a bit wide, so I know I can get past this guy. I know he's got some penalty, I've got some penalty, he's got a lot more to serve than I have, but I just need to get past him so I can start hunting down P1. Coming up out the hairpin, I'm trying to get a good exit. It's good to have a good exit so you can try and make a pass at the very top of the hill. You're just not going to make a pass in this chicane unless you're horrifically faster. But there we go, Megane makes a small mistake, I jinked to the right, makes a small mistake that actually takes him out over the gravel, just loses so much time and speed. We managed to get back past him, otherwise it could have been laps before we could have effected a move. So we're going to fast forward. What we're just going to do here is just concentrate on getting as best lap time as possible. We want to catch up the Irish guy, and then hopefully catch up Kevin at the front. So let's concentrate on these fastest laps. we rejoined the action, and we've managed to catch up to the Irish Audi TT, and we're now trying to put him under some pressure. Again, we can see he's got some penalty, I've got some penalty, but he does have quite a bit more than me. So at this point I know that if the race ended, I could probably pass him just on the lack of penalty, but we need to get past him and look at Kev. So we're going to look at the chicane. Oh, he jigs across right at the last moment, which was a little bit naughty. We give him a tap, no fault of my own. I was on the brakes as hard as possible, and we both come out of it okay. I try and look round the outside into the final corner. I'm just going to hold it there. I know we've got the same car, so we're looking at the same sort of speed, and coming out of there, we just managed to get our nose ahead. So I managed to carry more speed through the corner, so I've got a better straight line speed, and he's decided to serve some of his penalty there. I'm going to take the defensive line because we've got another guy popping up now, and take the defensive line all the way into the hairpin. Right, now we've got lap 13 out of 15. We need to try and catch Kev. So this is going to all be about best laps possible. Trying to hit every apex and try and limit those mistakes as much as possible. And we rejoin the action again. This is on the final lap. At this point, Kevin's 6 seconds ahead. We aren't going to catch him, so I decided to look at fastest lap. If I can't get the win, I'll take fastest lap and second. We know he's got a penalty. I know I've got a penalty, but I don't know how big is his. Hopefully it's bigger than mine, so if we can put in the fastest lap, close the gap as much as possible. If he's got a bigger penalty than me, then fantastic, we can take him at the line. So this is my fastest lap attempt. First of all, first sector, looking quite tidy, quite neat in the apexes, focusing on the corner exit into the first sector time split, and we're up, we're a purple sector, so that's great to see. And we can see Kev there, that's just willing us on, trying to push it as fast as possible for these corners. Trying to carry as much as speed down to the hairpin. We can see Kev going back up the hill, trying to go in nice and deep, carry some good apex speed and get on the power as soon as possible. We want to ideally be on power before we can see the exit. Have a quick look behind. The guy behind has a penalty and it's not close enough to be in my slipstream, so we know we can focus on what's ahead. So coming up to the fast left right near the end of the track, again using as much track as possible, down deep into that corner, a little bit deeper than I would have liked, but it's still okay. A little dab of the brakes, and then we're onto the back straight. So now it feels like Kev is a little bit closer. We've got another purple sector. We are doing this well. All we've got to do is this chicane. This is where you can win or lose a lot of time. And then we get on the brakes, turn in, and
no, God! No, God, please, no!
Yeah, it looks like we cut that corner a little bit too much, and that is a massive penalty of 10 seconds. So coming into the last corner, I've kind of blown it here. I look ahead and Steve's taking a penalty, so I slam on the brakes to try and serve the penalty and forget the line is so close.
No! No!
Across the line, still with penalty to serve, and we're down to third, and we're down to fourth. So that mistake on that final chicane has cost us potentially the win, definitely the second, and all the way down to fourth. But we had a good race. It was an enjoyable race. We made it some positions from where we started, and that's always positive. So looking at the final positions, we got fourth, which is up 6 places. Wasn't where I wanted, but it will do. We race again Friday night on Mature Racing Club over on Facebook. The link will be in the description. Enjoy the rest of your night and have a good one.